Safety and Judiciary Committee to order. Was the meeting properly noticed?
Yes.
If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
All members are present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Mr. Baker? Bob? Motion made by Mike, seconded by Bob to approve the agenda. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Approval of minutes of March 12th, 2025. Is there a motion? Jay? Mr. Bowler? Motion made by Mr. Chirko, second by Mr. Bowler to approve the minutes of March 12th, 2025. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? It passes. We'll take public participation as needed. Reports is Clerk of Circuit Court 2024, the annual report. Miranda, anything to add from last one?
Just the revision to, no revision to any financials, but just the case filing count for family and paternity. So typically on the monthly report that I provide to you guys, the family and paternity case filings are combined. And so that was the formula that was there for monthly. So when I had completed the report last month, it still had those combined because that's typically how I do it on the monthly. So those have just been separated out. So it shows the family case filing cases for 2024 was 80 with the paternity actions at 24. So that was the only revision.
Does the committee have any questions? Cynthia, do we have to approve this and move forward, or?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I believe it does move on to the full board
Okay.
with approval.
So is there a motion, Bob? Second. Motion made by Ms. Kowarski, second by Mr. Borud to approve the Clerk of Circuit Court 2024 annual report. Thank you. Jeez. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passes. This resolution to recognize Marilyn Rogers for over 18 years of service to Adams County. Clerk.
Marilyn Rogers to recognize the retirement, dedication, and commitment of Marilyn Rogers following her 18 years of distinguished service with the Adams County Medical Examiner's Office.
Motion. Motion to approve. Mr. Baker. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll discuss after I just quick say it. All right. Motion made by Mr. Baker, seconded by Mr. Chirko to approve the resolution to recognize Marilyn Rogers for over 18 years of service to Adams County. Discussion. Mr. Kowarski. Use your microphone, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, don't worry. Somebody on the county board will do that.
No, I'd like to say that Marilyn's done an excellent job for us. I've been around her for most of those 18 years through this committee and others, and she's done Adams County a very good job. We certainly want to be first in line to approve or to congratulate her on her retirement, and we will miss her.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marilyn's been with the county since 2007. She has made a name for herself, both within the county and the community. I have had the pleasure of working with Marilyn since 2021. In those years, I have seen a tireless commitment from her to always do what's right and to put the Adams County Medical Examiner's Office in a positive light. I have known Marilyn to be honest, hardworking, and focused on the community. She's able to see the big picture when making decisions for her office. She possesses a true spirit of camaraderie when working with other county departments and community businesses. Marilyn will be leaving behind a legacy with tissue donation and the chaplain program. Marilyn's last day is May 2nd. Please join us for a potluck at noon to 1 on that day as we bid farewell to a great person and a dear friend. Congratulations, Marilyn.
Oh, geez. I guess I'll chime in here because my career in my current position has mirrored hers. I started 17 years ago. And so I've seen Marilyn almost weekly over the past 17 years. And I remember when I first started, Columbia County was doing the medical services here, and they weren't doing us justice at the time. They were here for meetings, and that was about it. And Marilyn took it upon herself to say, I think we can do this better in Adams County. And thus, we handed it back to her, and at the time, Becky Kane. And from there, she's built this reputation for the county and reputation for the citizens of Adams County of what a good job we do here when it comes to this. This is not a job that's everybody's cup of tea, obviously, and she has put a lot of pride and has made it a great thing here. So with that, I thank you, Marilyn. Yep, go ahead.
Well, thank you all for those kind words, Rick and Cynthia, Bob. So it's hard to believe. Well, 15 years ago when I got the chief job, I remember really distinctly, and I can quote this exactly, a question that Bob posed to me at a committee at PS&J. And it was, and I quote, so what do you do? Just go and say they're dead and then leave? And that became kind of an educational process, and you've come a long way, Bob. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody.
With that, is there any more discussion? Hearing, oh, go ahead, Mike.
I obviously want to echo what everybody else has said about Marilyn and her career here and wish her a happy and healthy retirement. Where can we discuss where we go from here? Or is that going to be for a different day, a different time?
Why don't we do that during the medical examiner's portion
Okay.
when we get down there?
That'd be fine. Thank you.
Yep. With that, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passes. Congratulations, Marilyn. Not because we passed that, but all right, project status. Is there any questions? I'm hearing no questions. If you do have a question, please contact me or Cynthia, and we will try to get you an answer. Clerk of Courts, Miranda.
Good morning. I submitted my March monthly new case filing report. Typical filings, the state patrol filings were a little bit down from this time last year, and our County of Adams case filings for traffic were up. City of Adams, new case filings were a little bit up compared to March of last year, but total case filings for March for traffic were 166. Last year was 154, so not that big of a difference. Our forfeiture filings are all kind of within the same realm. DNR new case filings was a little bit down. Last year it was 27. This year was 10. Bringing our subtotal for forfeitures for March of 25 at 44 versus last year at this time at 76. Our civil, family paternity, small claims, and felony and misdemeanor case filings were all right in line with what they typically are this time of year. In March, we receipted 572 transactions totaling $101,742.51. The family court commissioner heard 41 small claims cases and 25 family paternity cases. We did have 2 out-of-county judges scheduled, hearing 6 cases on 3 separate days. And then we did have a single jury trial in March in Branch 1 with Judge Wood. And that is the clerk of court report for March. Our revenues and expenditures are in line with what they typically are. We don't have anything out there that is unusual or uncustomary for us this time of year. Does anybody have any questions?
Committee, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to child support. Janet.
Good morning. So we're doing great with our performance. Been busy getting ready for Reality Day. It's coming up in 2 weeks. No, next week.
Yeah, next
Oh
week.
boy, yeah, next week.
Days.
We still have room for volunteers if anyone wants to come and join us. Tori's been really busy working on that, and it's going to be amazing. We went to the prison after this meeting last month and met with a classroom of 38 inmates, and it was wonderful. It was great. It was the conversations, and they were all unbelievable. They sent us home with lists of things we need to find out for them in their states. So we're still putting that together to get it back, and they do want us to come back. So it was a very, very rewarding day. Nancy went with us and thought it was just wonderful. So nothing else unusual with the check summary and the other reports there. At the end of March, or at the end of April, I'll enter the report for March, and then we'll get our quarterly payment sometime in the beginning of May for the revenue reimbursement.
For the prison, are you gonna try to do biannually or
I think we're going to try to do quarterly.
quarter? Okay. Any questions, committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to emergency management. Please just read her narrative, and if you have questions, either save them for the next committee or the next committee meeting, or you could reach out to her also. Medical examiner.
We're just about where we were last year, 48 cases. Last year we had 50, so we're catching up. We had 17 this month, all natural deaths, which makes it a lot easier month. So there's really not much to report, nothing that stands out. I would like to address Mike's question and introduce to you Bethany Spa. Bethany has been with the medical examiner's office for over 5 years, right? 5.5, coming up on 5. But she's me. I mean, when I look back 5 years ago, she has a real passion for the job. She loves it. She's a student of this medical examiner's office. She has learned so many things, and just really takes the lead. She's, like I said, she's very passionate. I'm hoping that she will step into this job. Hoping that she gets this appointment. I think it closes today. Is that correct? The posting. So she will just step in with very easy transition. She's the one I talked about, I think, a couple months ago that did the found a program with veterans when we have unclaimed veterans. She found a program that they will reimburse our office for that. And there was a lot of paperwork involved and a lot of researching it. And she did that. And we did get reimbursed for the veteran that we had that was unclaimed. So she just takes the bull by the horns. She does things. What she has that I don't have anymore is she has the energy. She will be an excellent medical examiner should she get that position. So meet Bethany. And the only other thing is I want to tell you about the flag raising ceremony, which is going to be on the 17th of this month. It's April is National Donate Life Month. So we're doing another flag raising at the hospital. This Friday, we'll have Blue and Green Day, which I haven't put out anything yet, but I'm going to today. If you can wear blue and green in support of donation, that's the color of the donor flag. That's all I've got.
What time is the flag raising?
1 o'clock.
Okay. If somebody from the committee could be there, I can't. I'm in Wausau for workforce development. So if somebody would like to go there, that'd be great.
That's very nice. We honor the donor families, and we have 2 speakers this year. We have Miranda, whose father was a donor. She's going to speak again. She did a great job last year. We also have Reba Chafee, whose husband was a donor the past couple of years, and she's going to speak at the event.
Mike, did that answer your question that you're going to have?
That's part of it. I guess I was just wondering about the application process and then who is the interview panel or how are interviews of the applicants conducted? And is there somebody that has any kind of medical experience on that board when you do your interviews?
Oh,
I thought
Mr. Chair.
Cynthia would answer.
Yeah, so department heads, which in this case, I would be the one making the decision on the position. When you feel like you have an internal candidate pool, which means current employees, then you can limit it to an internal search only, and that's what it is. It was a 5-day search for internal applicants, and it closes today. So I didn't really have access to the candidates until it closes. That's how it works. We don't get to see it as they're being loaded into the system. But there's usually a panel of 3. There needs to be 5 if it's a department head. So the panel will be made up of 5. I believe Marilyn can participate since is going to be here during the process. So that to me is the expert on the panel. Anyway, that's what I have for you.
Okay. Any other questions for the medical examiner? Move on, Sheriff's Department. Yes, ma'am. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sheriff.
Marilyn, regarding the Poor Farm Cemetery, I am attempting to get a light on top of that pole and a new flag. I guess I'm asking for permission to do that if anyone has any issues with it. And if we get it done, maybe we can have a flag raising down there at some point.
I think that would be great. I know that's on Bethany's list of things to do is to work on improving some of the things. So, or, fundraising or whatever it takes. It is county owned. So that's one of the things that she'll do, but that would be great.
I guess I'll ask Cynthia, does that have to be put on the agenda and voted upon, or can we just do that? Or if Marilyn has it in her budget, what?
Mr. Chair?
Yep. Your budget.
Yeah, we'll just bill Bob. Anyway, it's in her budget and it'll be part of her report. It's not an actionable item.
Perfect. Now, Sheriff.
All right, thank you. First off, I'd like to introduce off to my left here is Lieutenant Eric Diven. He was hired a few weeks ago and he replaced Chief Deputy Johnson when he moved from the investigative lieutenant position. So Eric comes to us with a lot of experience and a lot of education and specific training related to investigations. And we've been training him up, and we can't throw stuff at him fast enough. He's a very quick learner, and I'm super excited to have him.
Welcome aboard.
As far as the typical reports up there, I don't have anything in those first pages. But I'd take any questions if you had any of those until we get to the finance part, I guess.
I actually have a question on Miranda's report. The last 2 months, the county citations are up, and I don't know if that correlates with a couple months ago or now. Did you have some grants or something? We're able to put more people out, or why do you see the uptick in those citations?
I think just staffing. We were able to get some new deputies out and out of field training. The process once we get them is a couple months long. So we've been focusing on a lot of traffic and interdictions and things like that. So that's probably why you're seeing some of those numbers.
Sounds great. Keep it up.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't have anything on those just typical numbers for this time of year for cases handled and complaints, things like that. The one thing I just wanted to, I guess, talk about or mention on page 25 of the finances. A few months ago, through Admin 5, there was, I guess, a resolution with the K9 account. So on page 25, you'll start seeing some of those K9 carryover accounts that are, I guess, being used now. And I go back to, I guess, some of those on this committee that were at Admin 5, and I spoke about that. And just, I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention as as my home committee, and in that change in that policy, that was something that happened after the budget was approved, and seeing some of those numbers. And like I said at the Admin 5, I'm, the one thing that the sheriff's office has in the county strategic plan is drug enforcement. And essentially now for us to have canines and keep canines, I have to go out and fundraise to have the canines. And I don't know that it was overly discussed in great detail at the various levels of at least this committee on that. So I wanted to point that out and bring that to your attention to see if you guys, I guess, were aware of that, and just make that, I guess, my statement on that. So. Otherwise,
I guess I'm kind of confused. There's a lot of negative. Could you go back up, please? You had quite a bit of money in there, but now you've spent it all. Is that what you're trying to show us here, or I'm confused?
The reason that there's negatives there is because none of that money was budgeted when the budget was passed.
Oh, okay.
So none of those carryover accounts, if you see in that off on your left screen that says K9 carryover, none of those line items were in the budget that the county board passed. And so the budget was, or my budget line items were changed after the full budget was passed. Like, at least that's how I would describe it. And that's why you're seeing negatives there.
And those negatives will continue to grow.
If we use the money, yes.
Okay. Kyle.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Yeah, so those individual amounts were not budgeted. They're just essentially broken out into more detail. So we did budget for wages and benefits for K9 officers. It's just they're broken out in more detail on this report.
So there's money to make up those negatives.
Correct.
Okay. But going on in the future, we'll have to look at K9s differently when it comes to the budget process next year.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like for Kyle to kind of give an update on just what that fund balance looks like now for the canines. There was a huge donation that came in. So fundraising maybe not as hot a ticket item because there seems to be adequate reserves in there now. Do you want to maybe touch on what that balance is?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
it's about $172,000 currently.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess going back to when we bought our last dog I'm gonna say September-ish. During that meeting, I had said that we were notified from a attorney's office that we were the beneficiary of an estate donation. And in January, I believe in mid-January, we received that check from that estate in the amount of just over $93,000 for the Sheriff's Office K-9 fund. And I guess that's my point is, so there's money there, but all the money that's being used for that is the donated money. And while I don't disagree that some of the donated money should be used for the K-9 account, I just disagree, I guess, with the wages portion of the deputies, because I don't know how it's being tracked. The deputies are still deputies, and they do deputy work, but they do have a dog and they do some dog work. And if you've seen any news releases in the last 7 days, we've had 2 specific traffic stops that we've netted over 150 grams of meth from 2 different stops from those dogs. So again, I don't have an issue with some of the money being used for the dogs, the vet bills, the dog food, even the squad setups. I just at the wages, I don't know that. I guess I agree with that. And then potentially with the new union contract coming up, the deputies will receive a amount for caring for the dogs, which will each be several $1,000s. And yes, right now we have thankfully a lot of money due to a lot of hard work and donations coming into this account. But these dogs are as much as a tool as our guns or squad cars and things like that. So I guess I just have an issue with that, I guess.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Okay, so with governmental finance, you have to, it's called a matching principle. And you have to match expenses of a program within that program. So not all wages and benefits are being paid through the K-9 program for a K-9 officer. What's driving that is the overtime that's generated. This is the special training. Kyle, do you want to touch on? And I did provide a schedule on my county administrator's report that kind of broke out, and it said it was around 25,000 a year, and that included this overtime, the wages and benefits. So that was shared. Do you want to touch on that, Kyle? About, I mean, there's proper accounting that has to happen. So whether someone prefers to not have something hit the K-9 is not an option. It's generally accepted accounting principles. Do you want to touch on that, Kyle?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yep. So the wages and benefits that are hitting those expense codes are specific to the K-9 program. So it's like additional trainings that they're doing that they wouldn't have to do if they didn't have the K-9 dogs. So we're matching essentially the donations for the K-9 program to the expenses associated with the K-9 program.
So Mike, go ahead, Mike.
I just don't understand that. You don't have an additional account, or when you send the deputies to training for firearms or send them to school or whatever, those are all training. So why does the K-9 training have to be different than it would be? They're still deputies, like what's been said. Why do they still have to then take their K-9 training out of that donated money, where you don't take the training for the other deputies when they do something out of any specific fund? It just seems like you're just kind of just picking on the K-9 fund because there's a lot of money there where, training is training. Where I come from, that was it. Whether it was dog training or firearms or SWAT training or whatever we had, it all came out of the same account. And we did have an additional account as well for donated funds for the dogs that we had at the time. So I just don't understand why these two are separated.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we touch on donations, so this is restrictive donation that comes from people, you have to account for those donations because people want to know, what are you using our donations for? So when it comes to that, and this is a specific program called K9, you have to account for all those expenses because if anyone ever audits us or there's a donator, someone that donated, their estate, and their heirs want to know, hey, what did you use my grandfather's money for? We could produce a report immediately and say, this is how your funds were utilized. So when you have restrictive, and that's what that is, it's a restricted donation for that purpose, all appropriate expenses are then put against that. Do you want to touch on any more of that, Kyle? Okay.
My question then would be, what if we talk about restricted and unrestricted, what if the county took over the maintenance of the program and the fund took over the purchasing of the dogs and training to once they become active? Is that you could still show, well, this is what we did with your money, and then the county would take over or is that too expensive for the county?
Mr. Chair, we have to get down to the generally accepted accounting rules, the generally accepted accounting practices. All of that comes into play. It's not as though we have a preference. This is the proper accounting and governmental finance for these programs. This discussion can be hit on more during the budget process if you wish.
We will take it up there then. I think we all know where we want to go, I guess. All right. Thank you.
Just a few more things, Mr. Chair, for department updates. So in May, we're going to be holding a ATV, UTV safety course. Deputy McFarland, the recreation deputy, and myself will be instructing that. And then just this last week, Monday, I released the sheriff's office received gold recognition from Lexipol. Lexipol is our policy for the sheriff's office that's done from a third party. They monitor our performance metrics on several different areas and to rate our sheriff's office and jail on policy management. And we received gold in both the jail and law enforcement based on those standards. I briefly talked about those 2 drug arrests that we did the press releases on. And then starting Sunday is National Public Safety Telecommuters Week for 2025. So that's all I had for my report.
Questions? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I got a couple, 3 different issues here. One, when we talked about that, the value of the drugs and so forth, what transpires once these drugs are confiscated? What happens to the drug or the value or whatever? That's, probably the sheriff can hit on that quick.
Sure, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Yeah, so it depends on the court process, but after the court process, they're disposed of. During any those type of drug cases, sometimes we get cash or vehicle asset forfeitures, and if the court issues those seized during that process, we would get that money or assets as well. Some of that goes to the school fund of those assets per statute. So that's what happens with the drugs. They're ultimately probably just destroyed.
All right, so like the value of the different drugs and so forth, you have a street value and you probably have an actual value, which could be miles and miles apart. How is that determined on what to do with it? At what value?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I'm following that question, but yeah, there are street values that are sometimes associated with drugs. It depends on a lot of times the quantities of the that were seized, but that's nothing for in elements of the crimes. That might be just a general statement that sometimes may come out in the court process if they ask the investigator, is there estimated street value of the drugs, something like that. But as far as statutes or changing charging decisions, the street value wouldn't have any impact on that. It goes strictly by weight.
Well, I think part of that, Brent, is that it makes for a better story for the media, that the street value is miles and miles above what the actual value of it is. So that's no one's here nor there. It's just a question. The other thing I want to get into is this whole canine thing, somewhat anyway. I looked at the report and the canines were dispersed 7 or 8 times, I think. And I don't know, could you touch on what they were dispersed for without getting into something we shouldn't get into?
So that's in the top part of the report there. So I wouldn't know without looking more into that specifically. So we just have a nature case that is titled canine deployment. So, but we have a separate tracking software of each deployment that I am not able to access at this moment. But in our annual report, we always break out those deployments, whether it's vehicles or a track or article search or canine demonstration, school search, things like that. So that'll be outlined in the annual report, which I will have for you guys next month.
Okay, I don't ask that to be nosy. I just was kind of curious on what kind of issues that they get into. And then, I don't know how this all ties in, but we have Humane Society and the bills that are associated with it. And we have, I think, 3 dogs. Is that right, Brent?
The sheriff's office,
Excuse me?
the sheriff's office dogs,
Yes,
we have 2.
2. Okay. But anyway, when I looked at some of that deployment and so forth, and now I'm losing my track there. Sorry about that. Instead of the canine, but just dog issues and the amount of those versus how that all ties in with the Humane Society and the billing of that. We're looking at what, 30 grand? And from there, for a minimum of dog issues, I don't know how we can justify some of this stuff. The Humane Society is holding trump cards right now, and I'm not sure that that's fair to the county. I know I was kind of bouncing all over there, but there are some concerns. So.
Sure, I can get I think here, dog animal shelter numbers. But yeah, there's not a lot of the animal at large type of complaints, animal problem complaints, as related to how expensive that contract is with the animal shelter. County administrator, we've been to the Towns Association meeting. I think at one time, based on 2024 numbers, was an average of like $250 per dog is what we paid, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it is expensive, but there's a plan in place moving forward, maybe.
Thanks, Brett.
Is there any other questions for the sheriff? Try to get there. With that, our next meeting date will be May 14th. Anything you want to put on the agenda, please contact me or Lyanna. Is there anything else? Go ahead, Sheriff.
I believe May is our annual jail inspection walk.
Okay. All right, so after the meeting on the 14th, we'll go through the jail. It's our annual inspection. Do we have to have a certain number? We'd like to have all the committee members go, but we understand it does take about an hour after the meeting. So if you have something going on, just as long as some of us go, I don't think we need a majority, do we, Bob? Just as long as at least one of us goes, so. All right, with that, we'll adjourn at 9:40. Thank you very much.